Hi, welcome to Hanging Out on Monday Nights. Got an interesting topic tonight that I think everybody in this room can relate to, except possibly Jay. Because he's got, well, no, it's no hate on Jay. He's just got a different situation.
All
But
right.
I think the rest of us in here could probably relate to this. You're playing in a hall for a wedding or an anniversary party or whatever it happens to be. And this hall happens to have this really cool patio area adjacent to it. Maybe there's a fire pit. Maybe it's looking over a beautiful vista or something. So people are spending a lot of time in this outdoor area and not in where the dancing is. Can you guys relate to that?
Yes.
What year is this? 79, 80? What year are we talking about?
This happens right now. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does happen.
You're lucky you have the inside room. I don't even get that much.
Well, the reason I'm saying that Jay doesn't relate to this as well as the rest of us is because most of Jay's events in Swing and Temecula are outdoors.
Yeah.
So the outdoor area is where the event is happening. Yeah. But I think for most of us, we're indoors, but sometimes there's a patio or whatever, and people like to congregate out there. I went off onto several things on a video I did today about that, but I wanted to focus on one thing. I had an idea that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to just run it past you guys and see what you thought. I've done it before, but I've never really offered it as like an additional service, and it could be interesting. So hear me out. Let's say that you are in a situation where you have an indoor area and an outdoor area looking over some beautiful vista. So people like to go out there, especially, most of us live somewhere where it's not nice all year round, like Jay, okay? So if you have a nice night, people typically want to be outside anyway. Why do you want to sit inside of a hall when you can go outside and enjoy the weather if it's nice out, right? So the question that I saw on a post today was, what do you do when everybody's outside and you're just stuck inside and there's only nobody to play to? Do you play the songs that, whoever happens to be in front of you wants to hear at a moderate volume so people can have conversations? Great. What if we put a speaker outside playing a completely different vibe than what's playing inside? Like a not necessarily sleepy music, but just kind of not dance music, but something cool and up-tempo to listen to. Talking about a single speaker, and some of these speakers have built-in MP3 players. You can put a mix on that, pop it in there, walk away. What do you think? Is this something that you guys do or have done? Is it worth examining? What do you think?
Good.
Yeah, Jay, please.
You said Jay wouldn't talk. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say wouldn't talk. I said he couldn't relate.
It's funny you
I
bring
love
this up. This started with me with the TJM 5000 because it had zone.
Yes.
And I did probably 7 or 8 events where I put, hey, I noticed the bars in the hallway. I can do, you've already said your dad's got a Scotch thing out there, whatever. I can do an added satellite speaker that only gets certain music.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Great. That's $150. Okay. And I did an event last Friday where we had an outdoor patio or balcony off the room looking down on Petco Park for a Padres game.
Yeah.
I run into people going to the fire pit, going to the bar, going to whatever. And I agree with you. I'm a firm believer in offer what I like to call the lounge/bar speaker.
Yeah.
The music is completely different from what's going on in the main area.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability, and there's very few pieces of equipment today that will do this, it's called a zone output.
Yeah.
Where you can set music to a speaker in one area, music to a speaker in another, but choose where the mic goes. So you could make an announcement, hey, those of you out by the bar, want to let you know in 5 minutes we're going to be doing the cake cutting. They'll all make their way back to where the dance music is playing. And I am 100% with you, Brian. It is a huge dynamic change if there's cool lounge, cool whatever playing in one area, but yet the wedding is playing in another area with something completely different. So
the only thing I wasn't considering was the microphone, because in my brain I'm thinking we could do this for a little bit of nothing. I mean,
you could, but it would be helpful.
Yeah, it would be very cool if you could do that. Absolutely.
If you could tap into.
Absolutely. You're right.
And I mentioned the 5,000 mixer. That was the selling point to me was, and I did it several times where I had something in a hallway playing, and I made announcements just to the hallway.
Right.
A minute or two later, the doors open and everyone comes in and everyone's looking around like, what's going on? Well, because the room I was in, where I'm playing dance music, they didn't hear the announcement. So, I think it's, and it's doable with
what does
wireless.
this have? Does it got like a built-in A/B switch
The way the zone works, Eric, is it allows you to send another output to a speaker. And what you can do is on that particular speaker, you can pick decks 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Or master.
And
which is everyone.
Microphones.
Yeah.
So, example, you're in the hallway with Brian having a drink, chit-chat, and you hear me playing Frank Sinatra. I'm in the main room going, hey, everybody, our birthday boy, Eric, is right outside the door. We're going to open the door in about 60 seconds. When we do, everyone yells surprise. You didn't hear any of that, but everyone in the room did.
Right.
That's the zone thing. Where Brian's going and what makes total sense is to have that outside thing. I agree with the MP3. I did it one time with a Steve Jones DJ skirts.
Yeah.
I have a skirt that wraps around a tripod speaker. I put a CDJ 400 with a reggae CD in it.
Uh-huh.
Plugged in my Behringer Eurolive 200, put it out on the balcony, and let it play all night with reggae. I couldn't do the microphone, but every time someone went out there, they just got some cool Bob Marley or something looking out over the San Diego Bay. Then in the room, I was playing whatever I was playing.
I'm trying to find something, and I can't find it, but because I can't remember the name of it. The American Audio column array. The
Avante?
No, not the Avante. The American Audio column array.
Not the Alto.
No, it's the American Audio. The hell is it called? I'm Googling it right now, so forgive me. Oh, CS8.
Oh, the 8 and 15 inch that they had? Oh, no, that's the regular speakers. Remember the ones they had at DJX? The 8 inch and the 15 inch? They had a USB port, they had an MP3, they had Bluetooth.
Let me show you the one I'm talking about, just for fun. I mean, and this is just the example I could think of.
Okay.
And the reason I'm thinking about this particular speaker, a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a column array, so it's relatively friendly on the ears. It says it's discontinued, unfortunately, but it's a cool speaker. I have a pair of them. But what was cool about this speaker before it was discontinued is if you look here, it's got a built-in MP3 player. You can either go flash drive or SD card.
Nice.
You can Bluetooth it if you want. And, I mean, the retail price on this thing was relatively inexpensive. It was like $250.
Yeah.
So for $250, you could put a cool reggae mix together or something. And not even a mix, just songs. Shuffle the thing in there and walk away. Hey, this is the vibe on the porch. Set the volume and forget it. And if you wanted to Jay's point, you could run a microphone in here, and you could go out there and get on the mic. Hey, everybody, just a quick announcement. You wouldn't have to zone it wirelessly or go through, that if you wanted to.
So if you have two wireless mics, you could put one to that speaker and one to your main rig.
Yeah,
and
so
do it right from where you're at.
Yeah, it's just the cable intensive is what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think about how to do this on a basic level.
Yeah, we get an XLR extender, like a wireless extender. So if you from the source tap into the channel 2, because most speakers have a channel 1, channel 2. So your MP3's in 1, your mic's on 2.
Yeah.
And you can still, from the other room, use your mic and be heard out on the patio. So there's ways.
I got these. These work good.
Okay.
For that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
not XLR, but they work. It's great for a mic or whatever. But, yeah.
I think it's an interesting option. I mean, Damon, have you ever done anything like this where you've had two different things going on at the same time at an event?
No, unfortunately, I have not. So.
Well,
but it's a good idea. And
it's an idea anyway.
Yeah. And like Jay was saying, unfortunately, the mixers nowadays do not have zones to do a lot of stuff like that.
Well, I mean, again, on this basic level, you wouldn't have to do that. If you just took a flash drive and put some cool songs on it and stuck it in there, they just play back to back. Or you'd be clever and you could remix something and zip it into a WAV or an MP3, put it on a flash drive, and have it play a mix if you want it.
100%.
I love that whole zone. Yeah, I love that whole zone thing, Jane.
Dude, it was, you know what, the fact that the mixer came out in 2009, and it came out as a 19-inch rack mount, right when the 19-inch rack mount died.
Yeah, I still have one.
I do too. And
I bet you do.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's bulletproof.
And it just, you know, it changed so much of the game. And when I tell new DJs today about it, you know, going back 16 years, they look at me like, I would buy that right now. I'm like, well, the problem is it's not available right now.
Well, again, we've talked about two products that are not available right now. Right. So how about we talk about something that is actually available, people can buy?
Well, I think no matter what they have, if you're willing to step out of the zone a little bit, no pun intended, and make something work for you. I mean, I've got probably 12, battery-powered speakers in my garage. I could hook up with Velcro, an old iPhone, with a playlist, plug it in, and put it wherever I want, doing whatever I want.
Now, the speaker I was talking about that they're saying is discontinued, there's a whole bunch of them out there. Or, like I'm on eBay right now, and I'm seeing a speaker that so far, it's identical because it's all OEM stuff, right?
Right.
So, okay, this is on Amazon, just, for point of reference. This is the same speaker. There's nothing different about it. And SoundTown is making it, and it's $229.
Yeah, wow.
For a little column array, like this.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That you could, for $229, you could pick this up. It's even got a carrying bag for the columns. Weighs next to nothing. I've been running one of these in my shop for about 4 years now. Like every time I'm out there, it's playing music.
Right.
Sometimes I forget to turn it off, and it's on for weeks at a time. Has given me zero issues. It's a cool little, I mean, who knows? But for the price, imagine what you could charge a client for satellite music somewhere else, a different vibe somewhere else, and what your investment would be. It wouldn't be much. You could do something on a pole, and you could absolutely take something like an Everse 8, battery-powered, put it on a pole, and have some kind of little MP3 player into it and run it that way if you wanted to. The only thing that I was thinking would be maybe an issue is how to keep people's hands off the volume.
I think if you turn it away, whenever I use the Wave 8, I put it in a corner, so it's just a speaker on a stand, and I control it off booth.
Maybe they leave it alone,
Yeah, they don't think of it as a touch thing, because it's never, like, I can see if you see anyone do this, you immediately just turn down the booth a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's always understood if you have satellite speakers, the way I learned how to use them 26 years ago, 25 years ago, was this is great for cocktail and dinner, toasts, introductions, but once dancing starts, you want to make sure you turn it down. Because it's probably where people are going to get away from the dance floor.
Loud, yeah.
So you don't want them to leave one loud area, go to the quiet area, and
have another,
blasted with Lola's theme.
It's absolutely. You keep that volume.
You have to regulate things a little bit.
That should never compete with, that should never be above 88 decibels or whatever it is, whatever the conversation level is of people. It should be always be on a low volume. And if people are talking a lot, you're not going to be able to hear it. And so what? But when it's quiet, you hear it. So.
But everything you've said, and now I'm thinking more and more, why not invest in, I know there's a lot of wireless microphones out there that are not immensely expensive. Maybe you make the investment in a small column array, add a couple $100 for a Vocal Pro or whoever, wireless, and now you've got a solid, here's the way to get announcements out to this audience.
Yeah.
Here's a way to get different music out to this audience. We can pre-plan playlist that your family and friends will love when they're by the bar. And hey, it's only a $250 extra investment.
Yeah.
Client sees the value, and you've paid for it by the third wedding.
Well, how neat of an idea would this be? And I'm just spitballing here, and I'm going to address John on this because John hasn't said a word, and I feel bad for John. I feel bad for Buddy, too. I feel bad for everyone. Let's see, Buddy, John, Eric, and Damon. I feel bad for those people.
We're just waiting for a moment.
You're fine.
Well, we get something, too. We're just waiting.
I know you do, and but I was just thinking, and I'm going to ask John what he thinks of this. You know when your client gives you this crazy playlist of stuff, and you're like, they're not going to dance to this. It's listening music. It's not dancing music. What were you able to do something like this? Hey, do you have a patio area? I got a great idea. How about I put those tracks on a different playlist in a different area? They're not dance tracks.
Right. Like you said in your video, that's where you're going to burn all the country songs that no one's going to dance to. Let's use it. It's constructive. You can still go listen to them, but not everyone's going to want to hear that. So you can divide and conquer. That's another way of fulfilling the obligation, so to speak, of getting everything on the playlist played, but not in the main room. You have an out, and like, oh yeah, we were playing that out there. People seem to be vibing in this area. It's like, all right, so just to double back a little bit. So if you're gonna work at a venue and there's a scenic vista, it's always gonna have a scenic vista. You know it exists. You know it's competition. You know that. You're thinking that ahead of time, I should put some sound out there with something different. But you got to have this stuff with you, and you have to be a little creative, because a situation can turn and become something you didn't expect. It's how do you roll with the changes? Like I did one for MDA, Labor Day Telethon, and we're inside this big hall with all the tables and the fundraiser, and then it was, all right, kids, we're all going outside and having a water balloon fight. I'm not set up outside. At that point, it's like, I have enough XLR. I'm going to put the speaker over to the window. I'm going to carry out a wireless mic here. Now you can announce the kids, and it's how you accommodate the situation you're put in. It's like, I wasn't going to run 300 feet of XLR to put a speaker outside, but you just find a way to get it done. And that's just if you've got an area that needs sound that didn't have sound, what do you do to make it work? What do you have? What can you repurpose in your awesome? It'd be great to have one of those altos or Soundtown things. That's long, but if you know that you're competing with someplace like a big patio with picnic tables and there's a chance everyone's going to gather, you should have a small speaker and maybe an MP3 player with some outdoor chill vibe music ready to go. And you're ready for it. And just leave that in the truck, and if you don't need it, don't bring it.
What do you think, buddy? You like the concept?
Well, I do about 40% of the weddings is remote speakers. And when I do it, it's all the same stuff I'm playing in the main room. It's usually cocktail, dinner. If I do have it outside an area and it is dance, like sometimes some of the places have a remote bar. They have a bar outside the main room. Some of the hotels do that.
Sure.
But I can control the volume separately. And running it wirelessly from the main to wherever you're putting it helps out tremendously. And I think that is a thing a lot of DJs are maybe leaving the money on a table, not offering this service of a remote speaker somewhere, either via the main playlist off the main system or a preset playlist, whatever choice they have. I think it's one of the things that I know, again, like for 40% of the weddings I do, have a wireless speaker somewhere, and that is a additional charge and adds additional money. And it's one of the things when you talk to people and you show people, and then you talk to venue owners, and I have, speakers are available for battery operated. Again, you said the eVerse 8, eVerse 10. Very good battery operated speaker. Run wirelessly to one of those to cover a patio area or a couple out patio area. And you charge per unit. I have a few venues that I do 2 speakers because it's a long, wide patio, and you're covering basically in a bar area, and people love it because you can have whatever vibe you want you're playing, but they come in the room, it's a different volume level.
Yeah.
You can turn it inside down or turn it outside up, or you can adjust it. So that's the other key thing, is that how do you adjust that? And one of the things I've done, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing all the speakers wirelessly, that's all one volume. I just adjust the inside speakers manually. But if I have to do remote speakers separately, I run it out of booth out. So the booth out into the transmitter, and then I can adjust the volume for that zone, for that area. And, hey, you know what? Dancing's coming up. I could bring it way down. People can hear what's going on, but they're not being blown out.
I have 2 things, and I need to do them in an order that makes sense that I want to throw at you. So my first question is, although I hate talking about money, it bores me. I am curious, what's the upcharge on a satellite speaker for you?
I start at 500.
$500. You're getting $500 for a remote speaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. I mean,
it depends. Now, sometimes I do a little bit less because they are getting a bunch of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll cut you a little break. But generally, between $300 and $500 for a speaker is what we usually look at. So
either way, you're paying for the sound town speaker.
There's always caveats,
and it's all profit after that. So I mean, essentially, that's what it would be.
Oh yeah, and
minus the SD card and stuff.
And I think you got to be on. You got to be ready. I appreciate Buddy getting 500. I couldn't get 500 for a remote speaker if I had a gun to their head.
Well, no, but I'm saying I don't think that 250 would be out of line.
No, I'm in the 175 to 250 is what I've got.
Either way, you're going to just about pay
because
for it.
Because I look at the amount of work I have to do.
Yeah.
I run the Wave 8s. I can run 5, 10, 20 of them if I had them.
Sure.
But just one speaker on a stand. The one I just did in the patio, that was a $200 upcharge.
I'm going to go to you.
So we want sound out there. Okay, 200.
I'm going to go to you, but I need to ask this last question. And it was something that Buddy said, and something I've been thinking about, but I can't collect my thoughts and keep them long enough to like get them out when I want to. So I was going to ask you, Jay, since you're the guy who happens to represent a company that has a name and you work with them and you're familiar with their equipment, what's the difference between zone out and booth out?
Booth out,
did you do the same thing with booth?
No. Zone out allows you to change what channel goes out.
You can on booth as well.
No.
Yeah, sure you can. I'm looking right at it.
Booth is always what the master is doing.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You look all you want, I'm telling you.
Yeah, booth is always what the master.
Booth is always the master.
I thought I had a switchable booth on here.
No.
I thought I did.
No.
What is this?
Zone allows you to pick the deck or channel that goes to that particular output.
Okay.
Booth is always the only thing booth usually does. Booth is main out, but oftentimes, unless it's adjustable, booth does not carry the microphone. Because it assumes you're in a club.
Okay.
If you're listening to the booth and you get on the mic, you don't want feedback.
Right.
So on many mixers and controllers now, you can go into the utility menu and choose microphone to booth or no.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if you're in a club environment, you're blasting your monitor, you don't want to have your mic come through and then feedback.
So I'm going to go to Eric because we haven't gone to Eric yet.
By the way, if I was out and I had to roll changes, I'd play nothing but REO Speedwagon. I wanted to say that to John earlier.
I sent
I had to roll with the changes. I heard REO the second he said that.
Started playing. Right. Not that Jay doesn't give us great stuff. Eric, what do you think of this concept?
Well, you know what? That speaker you showed in the beginning, there's like 100 of those out there, right?
Yeah.
Where you can put a USB, and I love the concept.
They're always the cheap ones too, you know?
Yes.
It's not the nice EV stuff or the LV systems. It's the budget stuff that has this.
I'll be honest, I got a JBL that will do Bluetooth, it will do USB, and it's, I don't know, 250 watt. Well, I mean, how many watts do you need?
It doesn't matter how many watts you need. It's all about a feel.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying, it's, you put this out there, you know, and if you want to get creative, you could make a 4-hour MP3. You know what I mean? Like at home.
I would test it before you play it, but yeah.
Because I might have trouble catching up. Is that what
I have never had good luck with it. Because I've tried that before, now that you mention it, where I've tried to do like this pre-made mix that I was going to play on an MP3 player through one of those speakers. And it always just goofs up on me. I think
it hiccups, right? Yeah.
Something happens, and I'm not going to be, I guess, you know, attending to this. So basically, my idea is super budget, super easy. Here's the speaker.
Set it and forget it.
You set it and forget it. I'm not going to go out there checking it, you know, every 15 minutes. I will periodically, but, you know, you've got to be mindful of, you know, where the sun is, because if the sun hits this thing and heats it up, there's going to be an issue. But if you can get in the shade and, you know, you get something relatively stable that's tested, nothing weird, and consistent files all the way through, it plays well. But yeah, any of the custom mixes I've ever attempted that are any longer than, you know, 30 minutes just fail on me on one of those things. I don't know why.
No, it depends on the device.
You know what?
You know, load it to like an old cell phone that you're not using. That'll hold up.
That would be fine. Yes, correct.
Yeah. You don't have to put it on your Zune player.
You know? Right. Maybe not a USB stick. But
I did it one time years ago with an iPod Nano. And it was perfect. I mean, I couldn't see what was going on, but I didn't care. Just press shuffle, and the songs that I had on there were going to be fine.
Press play, and you come back, it's still playing. That's all you care about.
They were having dinner in a room, and there was a PA that I could run a mini jack into that was built into the hall. I just brought the iPod Nano, and I charged them for it. You know, that was remote music. It wasn't my system, but it was my music. And I was in the main hall playing to whoever happened to come into the bar, and then, of course, the main hall was where we had the dance. But, yeah.
You know, and opposed to buying anything extra. Like, you figure you're leapfrogging speakers all day long. You had one at ceremony, and that's on standby while cocktails playing. Now you get into the main room, you've got two other speakers that you could repurpose already. That it's either load them back in the truck or they're sitting behind the table with you. You're like,
why not make some money with them?
Maybe I'll stick one out here. You know, use what you got rather than, you know, spending to get more stuff. You already brought all those speakers.
Yeah.
I just got one last thing to add to this, and I'll leave you guys be. It's the because I know Jay's already given me.
He's ready to go again. I can tell you.
I'm looking for the fork already.
He's getting wound up, man.
No, but I have a weekly bar gig.
Yes.
Okay, and inside is one of those jukeboxes where you can do it from your phone, and there's an A/B switch. Well, it's two on the remote. So when I start, I mute where I'm going to play. Meanwhile, everything is outside on the sidewalk, whatever that jukebox is playing. And that kind of draws people because they hear it on the sidewalk.
Okay, that's cool.
And they'll come in, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to what you're talking about, I think, you know?
Right.
Because you want something outside on that sidewalk. And it also gives the people inside a break. If they don't like what's going on, they can go out, they can bring their drink out there, and now they get a different vibe out there. I think that's kind of neat. That's a great
I like what Jay said about reggae. I thought that was having reggae remote, and then, you know.
I like everything Jay says. Come on, Jay, say something else.
I do.
I know you're ready. Yeah.
No, it's something, and I know Brian and I talked about this literally like 15 plus years ago when that came out, and it was like, dude, check it out. I had a surprise birthday party, and I put a speaker out that played one just background music. And guests would come in, and they'd come in the room. And then when the birthday girl showed up, I made an announcement through the main PA because I found out she was outside. And it was a similar venue where I did a wedding a couple weeks later, and I put a speaker outside. And it was I was luckily set up towards the door, so I pointed into the room, and put the speaker behind me, ran a cable outside. Didn't have wireless or anything like that. But it was the same thing where I got on the mic and made an announcement during dancing and said, hey, those of you outside in the hall near the bar, we're going to be doing the cake in about 5 minutes. If you don't keep coming back in. All of a sudden, everyone started coming in, and no one could figure out what was going on. Because I think too often the death of a wedding reception to me is, where's the bar? Oh, the bar's outside. Okay.
We have a lot of that here.
Done.
Halls are put together.
Where are you going to put the photo booth? Next to the bar. Okay, twice done. You know, you've got to look at the totality of the night, and if especially if clients come to you with obscure music, they're very into a certain genre that is more background than dancing.
Yeah,
I think that's the big green light to sell them on an outside speaker, because that way, when they're not in the dancing area, they can hear what they love.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, I knew when I did the wedding 2 weeks ago, my competition was the downtown San Diego area, the waterfront, the Coronado Bay Bridge, Mexico, and a baseball game. Not for a second did I think, oh, I'm better than all of this. I worked on yachts going in the bay for 7 years. I was very humbled early in my career to, hey, there's entertainment bigger than you. And don't take it personally. So I don't get upset. Half the people in my wedding stayed on the balcony all night. Why? Because the game ended up being a 1-0 game.
Well, I mean, you had something to. You were facilitating a service if they needed it, but they were doing something else they were enjoying. They were having fun. They stayed, so that's all that matters.
But the bride and groom are the only two people in the room that I met with before, and then after the wedding are the only two people in the room that will review me.
Yeah.
That's my clients. They do the review. They hired me. Guess what? They knew going into it what the venue offered. They knew it was a game. They knew it was a distraction. They weren't upset. So therefore, why should I, as the DJ, be offended or upset that not everybody is dying over the fact that I just played Salt and Pepper Push It?
You know, I was just thinking about a job that I did during COVID. I'd forgotten all about it, where I had my main system set up in a barn. It was on a farm. And then several, maybe 75 yards away, down a hill, there was a bonfire. So they wanted a remote speaker down there with more like 90s rock kind of stuff on it. Like MTV Buzzbin kind of stuff they liked. So that's what I did. And it was one of those things where they asked for it, so I came up with a solution, and it was exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about offering it as a service to others. Like others might, find something like this useful. But yeah, I mean, the reggae thing is perfect. Let's say they have a theme wedding. It's like, all right, we don't want to play reggae all night long because you're going to Jamaica on your honeymoon here in the hall. Yeah. But let's put it on the patio. Let's put a reggae loop on the patio, and inside we can play other things.
Have you been to the hotels, Brian, where the music in the lobby, and I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying this in general, it tends to be the nicer properties. Like in LA, if you go to the high-end hotels, when you walk out of the lobby into an elevator and the door closes, it's the exact same thing you just heard. There's no lag. And I remember the first time at the W Hotel in Hollywood, we went up to the roof and we're hearing the song from the lobby.
Yeah.
And when the doors opened, it continued on the speakers. And I remember my first thought being, I wonder what they're wiring this with. Like, how are they getting the signal up and down in the elevator? Because it's not missing a beat. It's continuing.
Well, the same way they're running electricity. I mean,
well, yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? Like the first time you do it, you're kind of like, wow, that's crazy.
Man. Yeah, all the boutique hotels over in Europe, whenever I go do a show and I would be there with the company, that was the deal. You walk into the lobby, it's upbeat, happy music. That's not nothing crazy, but cool stuff, usually contemporary. You get in the elevator, you go up to your floor, it's the same. You get out of the elevator, it's the same on your floor, but very low. Like
exactly. No, they keep something going, and it's more housey and all that, and it's great. But I think we as DJs, and you're talking about your video, my video, same thing, where it's like, are we going too far with lighting and everything else, and CO2 and sparklers and whatever? Let's get back to what we do by nature, which is music. And I think if you have the ability to do an event with music, but also do music for part of the event, I think it's an absolute win-win, but it also sets you apart in the area where you are, because I guarantee people will notice, man, I was just over at the bar listening to some Michael Bublé and some Frank Sinatra, and then we came in the room, we danced a little bit, and then I went back to the bar and they had some Ella Fitzgerald and some Nina Simone or whatever. It's really going to send the message how much you as the artist care about the experience.
Well, I think there's a lot of takeaways that we can take away from this.
Yes.
Wow, we went long, but that's cool. It was a good topic. All right. There's a lot of stuff here.
It's Eric's fault. Shut up, Eric.
I know.
Hey,
Eric, you talk.
I'm sorry.
Damon won't shut up. My God, that guy's always running.
Damon and I,
Damon will talk more, but Buddy represents him, and it's $300.
We've got Brian K off screen. He won't shut up. I mean,
Yeah.
So thank you, John, for reminding me.
If you enjoyed tonight's show.
If you enjoyed tonight's show, please, or maybe you didn't enjoy tonight's show, it doesn't matter. Check out DJ Event Planner, one of our
Buddy, that's rude. Stop that. You see what Buddy's doing is... I don't know what that is.
I don't want to know what that is.
Check out DJ Event Planner in the description of this video, along with some of our other sponsors. Thank you very much for taking the time to check us out tonight. Hope you got something from this. And let us know if you have any ideas for future shows in the comment section. Good night.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.